and welcome back to the channel. Today I just wanted to do a check-in for some of these series that I have ongoing. This is a video that I've seen a bunch of my friends doing, and it seems like a good time. We are a couple of months away from the new year, so for me, this seems like a good time to try to get on track with some of these series that I have started. And I've talked about this before, I am a bit of a binge reader, so if I start a series, it is not common for me to leave it dangling. I don't have a huge long list of series that I have started and not finished because I tend to read them and then read them straight through. I am not going to include on this list series where there is one or two books out in the series and the next book hasn't been released, because there's really no way for me to read those or for me to continue on with them. But rather series that I have started and either through circumstance or not having the books available, I haven't been able to finish up with the series yet. So there is a list. It's under 10, but I'm not sure if it's like 8 or 9. But anyway, there's under 10 of them that I'm going to talk about today. And what I would like to know from everybody is just some opinions on which ones to prioritize, where you feel like I should put in my time. I am in the process of trying to map out a tentative TBR to at least see where I'm going to fit in a lot of these books, but it would be nice to hear back from everybody and see which ones you think should be bumped all the way up to the top of the list. And I'll talk about the few that I don't have in paper copy right now, and there's 3 of those that I have ongoing. The first of which is Discworld. So right now I am in the middle of the death cycle of books in Discworld. If you watched my August wrap up, you know that I just read Soul Music, which is book 3 of the death books. So I have Hogfather, and I don't actually know what the last one is called, but I know there's 5 death books and I have a couple of them left. I am really planning to try to read at least one a month minus September. So my September TBR was really full. So I was thinking of maybe reading the Hogfather in October, potentially pushing it off to November just so it feels a bit more seasonal because it's kind of Christmas related, but definitely hoping to finish out the death books before the end of the year. My hope is before 2021 is out, I will read the other 2 death books, and then in 2022, I will decide where I'm going to go next with the Greater Discworld series. I believe it'll be with the City Watch books, starting with Guards, but I'm not 100% sure about that yet. The death books I've been really enjoying. I've been taking my time with these. I haven't been binging these ones because they feel more like separate entries that are linked rather than a series where you have a cliffhanger at the end or you have some piece of plot that links together. They're more just stories that take place in a shared world. So I've felt a little bit better about going more slowly with that series. The second series that I have been reading through audiobook actually is the Dresden Files, and I just put together a video on Dresden about my experiences with coming back to Dresden after many, many years. And I have read books 1 through 5 of the Dresden Files, and I'm really looking forward to moving along with this series as well. I have heard from the video that I put together that a lot of people really love book 7, and they feel like the quality just kind of continues on up from there. I don't know how I'm going to go about reading Dresden. If I start to really get sucked in, then I can imagine I will start reading, 2 or maybe 3 Dresden books a month, because they're very quick, they're very easy to get through. Right now I'm enjoying Dresden, but I haven't totally fallen in love with Dresden to the point where I feel like I need to be binging through the series. So if that changes, then I will work my way through it a lot more quickly. I am planning to read book 6 next month, so we'll see how that goes. I've heard book 6 is probably not great in terms of the whole series when you look at it as a whole, but hopefully book 6 next month, book 7 in November, and then I will be able to gauge where I am with the series and see if I'm going to start kind of massively binging or if I'm still going to continue to take my time with it. The third series that I am in the middle of, and these ones I have been getting from the library, so I'm kind of limited by my ability to get the library books. That is the Rhaeria Revelations. So I am at the 2nd bind up, so there's 2 stories in each of the 3 bind ups. So I am at technically book 4, but I'm halfway through the 2nd bind up. And really, it's just been that I have liked the Rhaeria Revelations, but I haven't loved them. So I haven't had this kind of burning desire to go on with it. I like a lot of things about it, but there's nothing that has really hooked me. I enjoy Royce and Hadrian as characters, but I haven't totally fallen for them. I do have high hopes through talking with Petrick that I'm going to really start to fall in love with Royce and Hadrian once I go and read the Warlord Chronicles. So those are kind of prequel books that show how Royce and Hadrian become friends. And I think maybe I'm missing a little bit of that context. I don't feel incredibly emotionally invested in their friendship, which is disappointing because it's a favorite fantasy friendship for so many people. And I'm wondering if it's just because we kind of entered the story with already knowing that they're really good friends and kind of being given that information instead of discovering it firsthand. So I fully intend to continue along with the Raiuria books. I have hopes that they will continue to get better and better because I have heard that they continue to improve and that it's an excellent conclusion. I don't know when I'm going to read the next one. I do have a copy from my Kindle library right now that I don't know when it expires, so I'm going to try to maybe squeeze it in this month. I had a really big TBR this month, so I don't know if this is a book that I'm going to be able to get to, but I would like to at least finish that second bind up so that I just have that one book waiting for me to go on, and then I can continue along to the Chronicles. But those are the 3 series that I don't have physically that I am presently in the middle of. And now we can move along to the physical TBR that I have here at my home. So the first book should be familiar. My last video, or one of my last videos, I guess, depending on when this goes up, that went up was my Dune, why you should, stop being scared of Dune and pick it up. Dune is a book that frightened me for decades. I didn't pick it up for a variety of reasons, and then loved it when I picked it up. And now I get to consider whether or not to continue on with the rest of the books. I feel like Dune works very well as a standalone. It's a great story in and of itself. When I picked it up, I had no intentions of going on to read the other books because, to be honest, I didn't know if I was even going to like Dune. I was really scared that I was going to find it boring, that I was going to be this outlier of sci-fi fantasy fans and just not like Dune at all. That was not at all the case. I really loved Dune, and now I think because the book was so rich in terms of theme and ideas to explore, I really want to know what happens in the other books, and I'm hoping that there will be a lot to examine and deconstruct there. So definitely want to read them. If I had to guess, I will probably put the Dune collection as like a box set or something on my Christmas list if my husband or my parents are looking for a present to buy for me, and then we'll probably commit to reading at least those first 6 Dune books in 2022. So I don't think I'm going to pick up any other Dune books this year. We only have 3 more months of TBRs to put together, and I have a lot of things that I want to try to squeeze in before the end of the year. So I think leaving off where it did, I'm happy with Dune as a standalone for now, but fully intend on continuing along with the series, and it will probably be one of my top priorities for 2022. After that, we have The Daughter of the Forest, which is part of the Seven Waters trilogy by Juliette Marillier. This is another book in kind of the same fashion as Dune. It stands alone very well. This is a complete story. You could not read any more books in this series and feel totally satisfied with the story that you were given. However, I really loved Juliette Marillier's style. I loved her writing. And while I loved this story about Sorka and everything that she goes through, and I do worry that perhaps the other books in this series won't live up to this one because of how much I loved it, I want to experience more of her work. So I definitely intend to continue on with this series and to keep reading. So again, I don't know if I'm going to read any more of them this year. I don't have any of the other books, and I'm going to try really hard not to buy anything between now and Christmas because my family really likes to buy me books for Christmas. I feel like I have done more book shopping since I started the channel than I typically would, and it's time to work my way through some of those books and not just buy more for the sake of buying them, even though I fully support anybody who wants to do that because I love buying books. I think that I'm going to try really hard not to buy any more until after the holiday season. So those are more books probably that I will put on my Christmas list and hope to read in 2022. Next, we have the Warlord Chronicles by Bernard Cornwell. So I'm just about finished the first book in this series, The Winter King, which I read this month. And I think I'm just going to try to continue on and complete this series before the end of the year. I really love Arthurian retellings. I'm not going to talk too much about The Winter King, so I'm going to save that for my September wrap up, but I do fully intend on continuing with this series. I don't think I'll do individual reviews, for these books. I will probably wait until I have completed the 3 of them and then do a series review. Sometimes I do like a first book review and then a series review, but I find it hard to review all the books in a series because you inevitably lose people who haven't been reading along. And I think it would make more of a good why you should read in terms of an Arthurian saga. So this is a series that I fully intend on continuing along with very quickly. And there are only 3 books in this series, so that's pretty manageable. Up next, this is a book series that I talked about a lot when I first started my channel, and this is called the Books of Woad, which is a LGBTQ retelling of the Robin Hood legend. And I really loved the first 2 books in this series. I read them so quickly. I read them in a day or a day and a half each. I needed to read them back to back. I was so invested in the relationship that was built and the world building. I loved it. And then the story took a turn at book 3 and then continued along a path that I didn't really love into book 4. And I still really liked the writing. I still really liked the atmosphere, but I just wasn't as invested in the story. And then I started book 5 months ago, and I don't really call it a DNF because I still fully intend on reading it, but I have gotten this far, and I will finish this before the end of the year. Probably I will read it slowly, bit by bit, but unfortunately, overall as a series, this one kind of fell off for me. I think the first 2 books stand alone really well as a duology, and if I were going to recommend anybody to read them, I would personally recommend reading the first 2 and kind of calling it quits there, unless you feel really compelled to go on and you can make that decision for yourself. But unfortunately, the series as a whole did not hold up for me. But that's an ongoing one. I'm not going to DNF it. I do still want to see what happens at the end, so I will kind of very slowly make my way through that one before the end of 2021. Up next, we have the Realm of the Elderlings. So this is Ship of Magic, the first book in the Live Ship Traders trilogy, which follows after Farseer. So the Farseer trilogy I read not quite back to back, but like in fairly close consideration. And I just haven't started the second trilogy. There have been lots of reasons for that. The nautical theme, just loving fits and knowing that these books don't focus on fits, the fact that they're all gigantic, chunky books. However, people have told me that I will love these books. They have told me that there are phenomenal characters in these books. I just watched Angela's video from the Literature Science Alliance telling me why I should read the Live Ship Traders, and she has really given me a boost because that was an excellent video. I really enjoyed watching it. So I am going to start Ship of Magic, and probably my approach to Realm of the Elderlings as a whole will be to read the individual series fairly close together, but then if I need to take longer breaks away from them, I will do that between series, as I have with Farseer and the Live Ship Traders. When am I going to read this is a great question. I would love to at least read the first book before the end of the year, potentially read this in December. December is my birthday month. I usually do a lot of reading in December because work is a little bit slower. I usually take vacation in December because my birthday and Christmas are fairly close together, so I take a chunk of time off around Christmas time, and I usually read a lot at that time. So I probably will make this a December read and then read the other 2 books in the trilogy fairly soon in the new year. But I am really looking forward to it. I'm excited to continue along with Realm of the Elderlings, and I guess my enjoyment will dictate how quickly I move through the series afterwards. And then my final installment is the First Law series by Joe Abercrombie. So I read the First Law trilogy 2 years ago, and then read Best Served Cold a couple of months ago, and I just received the other 2 standalone novels in the mail a couple of weeks or maybe a month ago. Whenever it was that I did my book haul, they came in the mail the day after I filmed it. So that's when I got these in the mail. But I'm really looking forward to continuing along with the First Law trilogy. I think I have not been going as quickly because I'm at a point where I am reading through the standalones, so it doesn't feel like I need to keep going. But I do want to read them. Again, I am going to try to at least get through the Heroes, the second standalone, before the end of this year. I would prefer to read both of the standalones before the year's over so that I can start off 2021 with the goal of reading the next trilogy. And I don't know if I'm going to succeed at that or not, but I would really, really like to. Everybody seems to say that Abercrombie just keeps getting better and better. I don't know how, because he's already so amazing. How good do his books get? But I am really excited to read those as well. There's always so much to discuss about Joe Abercrombie's work. I love characters. He writes the best characters, so I'm really looking forward to reading more of his books so I can do a little bit more of character examination and look at some of the characters who keep returning from book to book. But that's it. Like I said, I don't have a huge list of ongoing series. I try not to start too many at once. I do have a fair number where the books just haven't been released yet. You know, book 1 or book 1 and 2 are out, but the others are not. But I haven't built up a huge backlist. I am starting the Wheel of Time, so technically I guess the Wheel of Time will need to be added to this list as well. But as I haven't read the first book yet, I decided not to put it in the video. We shall see by the end of 2021 how many of these series I can cap off and what I need to carry over into 2022. I would love to know your opinions, which ones you personally think I should bump way up to the top of the list, what you're excited to see me talk about. What series do you have dangling? Is your number way higher than this? Or are you like me and do you tend to kind of binge series and just finish them right out? I guess I should add that I'm also rereading The Dark Tower. I didn't include that here because I have read that series before. But I'm at book 4 of the 8 books that I'm going to be reading for the Dark Tower reread, and I will probably go in fits and starts for that. Like, I will probably read one and then get really caught up and want to read others, and who knows? I don't have any particular schedule laid out for that, but I will be still rereading the Dark Tower series, so those should be probably included as well. But like I said, let me know what you're in the middle of reading, what you'd like to see me read next, and I will see you with another video soon. Bye!